Hi folks, we're going to be covering multiplying terms today. Let's get started. Now just before we get started, just remember that when we have something like 5x, this is the same thing as saying 5 times x. Alright? Or in other words, if we have 6ab, 6ab would be the same as 6 times a times b. Okay, so if we're going to multiply terms, let's start with an example and see if you guys pick this up. So if you have something like 7x times 2, well, this is 14x. And if you have 3a times 4b, this is equal to 12ab. If you want to see in a little bit more detail how this happens, I'm just going to do it again. So if we have 7x times 2, this is the same thing as saying 7 times x times 2, and of course we could always just multiply the numbers first and then leave the variable as it is. So 7x times 2 should be 14x. Okay, so what happens if we throw in a negative number in there? For example, let's say if we have something like negative 2 times 4b. Well, we actually have to work out negative 2 and 4 first. So negative 2 times 4 is equal to negative 8. So the answer will be negative 8, and of course the b is just going to be there by itself. So negative 8b is the answer for this. So what happens if we have more than, let's say, three different types of terms? Okay, so let's say we have something like 5x times 2y times 3z. Well, what we do first is multiply all the numbers together. So we're going to get 5 times 2 times 3, which equals to 30. So I'm going to write down the 30. And of course x times y times z, well, that says x, y, z. So your final answer for this particular multiplying terms is going to be 30x, y, z. So the only thing about multiplying terms is that you've got to be careful with your your integers. So you've got to be careful with your numbers. I'll just show you one more example. If you have something like negative x times 3y multiplied by negative 2z. Okay, now remember that negative x is the same thing as saying negative 1x. So you've got negative 1 times 3 times minus 2. So negative 1 times 3 times minus 2, which is equal to positive 6. So your numbers, all three numbers multiplied is 6, and then you're just left over with your x, y, z. There we go. That's our final answer. Well, hope you guys picked up something from here. I'm sure there's a burning question of what happens if the variables are the same. So for example, if you have something like 3x multiplied by 4x, well, for you to learn this, watch the next video in this series. Well, thank you guys for watching.